and welcome to the Capital Gang. I am Oscar Semoyamsoke. On this Saturday, after the International Women's Day. You're most welcome to the gang, Honorable Abdul Katuntu.
Thank you, Oscar, and good morning, listeners.
Most welcome, Honorable Ibrahim Semuju.
Thank you.
And Ivan is here as well. Most welcome to gang, Ivan. And you're escorted by a lady in yellow.
Is this yellow?
Mustard.
Mustard.
Mustard yellow.
Mustard. What if I was speaking Luganda? What will I say? What color is that?
Yellow.
Buzol Nyankole.
Okay, in the Runyankole. Mustada.
Change. Yeah.
So we also have guests. Our first guest is Country Director Xavier Ejoyi. Have I pronounced it correctly?
That is right, but the second name is Ejoyi.
Ejoyi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you must put the stress on Oyi, Ejoyi.
Yeah.
Okay.
It means let them say.
Let them say.
Yeah.
Okay. I also have a second guest. She was here recently, spitting fire. Yeah, the one in, what did you say it is? Mustard.
Mustard yellow.
In mustard yellow. But if you say in Nyankore, it is a chemvu. And in Luganda, chemvu.
That word doesn't exist in Nyankole, I'm sure. Doesn't exist.
A change exists.
A change is yellow.
Yeah,
so but I want the other one.
So you're most welcome to gang. Jacqueline Arinda, CEO of Jada Coffee. And I saw that you had some good news recently, so we shall congratulate you. When Honorable Semuju saw you coming on, he asked me, "Oh, Oscar, are we doing more coffee?" I said, No. I invited her, seeing that it's International Women's Day, and there will be a lot of discussion on women. So we'll start with you, Mr. Ejoyi, Country Director of Action Aid.
Sure.
Yes, the allegations, accusations that there's a lot of money in Parliament.
Action Aid.
Pardon? And not in Action Aid. Action Aid would like some money. So I guess you've come across those allegations as well. What do you make of them?
It is, I must say, it's disheartening, the allegations that we're seeing. Not surprising, because for those of us who are working on issues of corruption and accountability in this country, I can safely and confidently say that Uganda has reached with corruption at endemic levels. Corruption is systemic. It is in all the fabric of our society, and it is something that is worrying. It is one of the leading causes and sustenance of poverty in this country and inequality. State of affairs that does not mean well for our country. And so the surprising bit is that in the allegations now coming from an institution that is delegated the responsibility of overseeing the affairs of government, of appropriation, but also of ensuring that these citizens' voices, their concerns and their needs are addressed by the state. That is what is really baffling to that extent. So for us who are very close to citizen voices, we are really concerned at that turn of events. Every time you think you've seen more, of corruption in different facets of society, you are shocked to realize that there is more yet to unfold. But secondly, I want to say also here, frankly, that the way this information is coming out tells us that regardless of the magnitude of this vice that we're dealing with, that there are avenues that citizens are coming up to address themselves to the issue of corruption. And that is important. Usually, predictability is not good in any fight, even in the military. And so, for us who are in the front line in the fight against corruption, we think that what is unfolding here is also a manifestation that there are endless number of opportunities in the fight against corruption, and that we must not look back and say this is how we did it and should be done that way. Citizens are picking up, and they're using platforms that are hitherto not used to this level, and that is very encouraging. That whereas corruption is going to worrying levels, we're also seeing response mechanisms from citizens that really unravels the complexity of corruption. In a moment where we think that civic space is shrinking for formal organizations like ours, you see individuals, activists, wherever they have the space, they are rising to that occasion. And that I'm really happy and excited that that is happening, that every moment there is a downturn, there's an opportunity for an upturn. And that is something that is really great. And so we are very keenly following the state of affairs, and we want to see actions taken. And I think that for actions to be taken, we want those who are concerned, responsible for the institutions, to come up and make official statements that we can hold them accountable to. As of now, we're seeing bits here and there, but we want to see more action and official commitment to put ink to paper in this. Otherwise, we don't want the blame game of, you said allegation. Yes, there's allegation, but we want a statement. I'm happy to be here in the studio with Honorable Abd Katuntu, who heroically put in a private member's bill in 2005 on access to information. Access to information is critical in the fight against corruption. And it's the fact that public officials are holding the information they collect with taxpayer money in trust. And for citizens to advance in the fight against corruption, they need to ensure that they have that information, and officials need to provide that information. So I am hoping that we can make sure that the laws that we put in place are used, regardless of their shortcomings.
Interesting. I'd actually forgotten about the Katuntu Bill of 2005. Good point. We have Ivan here, who usually has all the statistics and all the figures to hand. I had a chat with him this week about the tourist roads. So I think at some point we'll have to discuss each road on its own, Ivan. But I have March 7th, Thursday, the Daily Monitor. Ivan says Parliament spends 2.6 billion every day. How is that possible?
You want to ask the parliamentarians?
No, I want to ask you,
You have the people who spend the money here.
I want to ask. The question was to Ivan.
I have not read the Monitor story, but I think what we've been seeing for the last 2 weeks coming out of Parliament is obviously worrying. But I think, like I've forgotten Xavier, like Xavier said, every cloud has a silver lining. I think what we are seeing today, or this is the revelations coming out of Parliament, an opportunity for the country to have a conversation on parliamentary accountability, on the checks and balances in the House, because clearly what was envisaged in the 1995 Constitution, the checks that were envisaged in the 1995 Constitution are no longer working. For starters, what we are seeing is, first of all, Parliament is the only arm of government that has the power to determine its own emoluments. The executive, there is a public service commission, I think, that determines the salaries of, the executive. The judiciary has its own body that determines, independent body that determines the salaries and remunerations. The Parliament is the only institution of government that determines its own perks, its own emoluments, and its own remuneration. And clearly, we are seeing an excessive abuse of that power. And I think the conversation is ripe on amending the law to make sure that to withdraw that power and that privilege of Parliament and the Parliamentary Commission. That is the problem. As you can
Semuju has asked, where will you take it for amendment?
The problem is that the MPs in the House are cynically saying we don't have any way to take the amendment. But the conversation is ripe. The second conversation that the country has to have now is also the idea of the two sides, sort of, or the power of the office of the Speaker. Because the way the parliamentary, the parliament is now set up, the assumption, the reason we have the official opposition in Parliament is that you are entrusting the opposition to be the primary check against of government, but also any accountability, because Parliament is the primary agency you go to for accountability. They have all the accountability committees. They have so the idea is, the assumption is that the official opposition should be the public's eyes on the excesses of government, and the Parliament is an arm of government. So, by extension, the opposition is, or at least the public has a legitimate expectation that they should be checking any excesses, whether in the executive, whether in the judiciary, whether in Parliament. Now we realize that the official opposition in the House is actually part of the has a seat, has a permanent seat on the dining table in the Parliamentary Commission, so they are no longer able to check the Parliament or that arm of government they are supposed to check. So, and that is because of the imperial speakership. We have a sort of imperial speakership where the office of the Speaker has so much power and leverage over members of Parliament. It sort of feels like the Speaker runs an independent small country in that house, because if they determine whether you have a power to speak, whether you can travel, whether all the privileges that are put to the members of Parliament. So essentially, the member of Parliament must be practically subservient to the Speaker to be able to retain the privileges of whether speaking, whether of travel, with all the other attendant privileges. So you have an imperial speakership. So those are the two aspects we have to check. One, to withdraw the privilege of Parliament to determine its perks and remunerations and allowances, but secondly, to check the powers of the Speaker, to be able to moderate, or at least to moderate the power of that office, to remove the chokehold it now has on any members of Parliament. The other day, the Honourable Senator said, confessed publicly that he has to be tactical while dealing with the speakership, because the way the rules of procedure are, that if he has to speak, if he has to do anything, if he picks a fight with the Speaker, he will most certainly be the one that does what that we lose. So if you have,
in fact, he told me that is Zake speaking now.
Exactly.
Do you want me to be like
that?
Zake?
He occupied his office of the commission now. In the House, he has been having a running battle with the Speaker.
Or has he got his 400 million?
Yes. So you have such an imperious such an imperious speakership that has a chokehold on the House. So if you have a Speaker who, there is a quote, I forgot who said it, said that it is dangerous to count on because the way the speakership is now set is that you have to count on the morality or the integrity of the speaker to moderate their own actions. Previously, you had a strong clerk to parliament because the clerk to parliament is the chief accounting officer, is the accounting office of parliament. I think the days of Ananias Tandekwile, and you had a strong office of a strong clerk to parliament. But now,
what should the clerk be doing?
The clerk is the accounting office of parliament. So ideally, they should be able to have strong checks, or to say no, we cannot spend on this and this money, or we cannot do this and this. Unfortunately, the current, progressively, that office has also been emasculated by the more powerful office of the speaker. So progressively now you have a speaker's office that is so imperious in its conduct and execution that it has now emasculated the office of the clerk, and the clerk to parliament now has only to sign off for the speaker to also be able to maintain their privileges. And now the Honorable Adolf Mwesi, when Adolf Mwesi lost his off, member of his contest in Fort Porto, and was appointed clerk to parliament, I think he comes to the office with not so much authority to sort of like moderate the office. A
kind of meritocracy missing.
Yeah. So for me, those are the 2 points those are the two takeaways from the parliamentary exhibition. Otherwise, on the question of the merits of this case, I think the jury is in the speaker's office and the parliament's office, because they are saying some are contesting the authenticity of these figures, but this nobody, not Chris Oboli, not the communications department or the speaker's office has come out to challenge officially, or show contrary figures to this. And it's not just by the speaker's office. The other day we saw for the office of the government chief whip. The other day we saw the office of the clerk to parliament, the one who is supposed to be the accounting officer, also drawing the same staggering per diems on two occasions in two different places at the same time. So the abuse is embarrassing, and the August House, the jury is out there on the August House, and they have to check. Or the public has to check that house going forward.
And is there any merit in, because a lot of the public have picked on the speaker particularly in all this?
Yes, I think because the speaker has had the more diversity, the more like the figures have been the most staggering have been those of the speaker. First of all, you have a revision of the per diem from $900 per day when she's on official day to $4,000. That is like a 1,000% increase. Now imagine you amend the law to benefit yourself. To benefit yourself. Well, the power it may be legal because the Parliamentary Commission has that power, but those are the sort of now deficiencies in the law that we have to cure. The second, you have a staggering other parks, entertainment allowance, which is $5,000 on top of the $4,000. Then you have inland travel or something like that. The figures are obscene. The second thing is that you have beyond that. The second thing is that you have so many figures that are passed through other agents of the other members of the employees of parliament, like we saw the communications director and another person, I think called Adiro or somebody like that, with the figures devoted to corporate social responsibility for the speaker. Now that is such a vague term. First of all, there is no way in the law where it says the speaker has to do corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility is there should be for private companies to be able to legitimize their
to do a social good.
Social good. I know that the speaker, of course, has donations. The president has a donations budget and all. But if you have about 5 people or so drawing staggering figures under the guys, and they are not going direct to the speaker's account, they are going through other hands, which shows that there is also shadiness to this. Otherwise, why should anonymous or individual staff of parliament be drawing figures or these incomes? At least for the president, they go to the president's office directly. But the speaker, these ones go through Chris Oboli, they go through another person, and all the staffers, about 5 staffers of the house, to be able to do the corporate social responsibility. Already that points to a shieldless. Yeah?
Okay.
So, but there are a lot of questions, and we've not had any coherent or convincing explanation from either the Speaker's office or the Communications Department of Parliament.
Apart from Semuju's heckling on Capital Gang.
To put these suspicions to
yeah.
rest.
Evelyn Arinda, they had wished to invite Agatha Atu-Haire, who seems to have been recognized by an American
the State Department.
Okay, for her being brave and bringing to the fore. And I thought about another lady, Evelyn Arinde, CEO of JADA, who was also brave to jump out of the coffee thing. So have you come across these amounts through Parliament? Do you believe it's happening, or since there's no denial?
Well, first of all, I think we are heading for the worst in a government or in an era that doesn't believe in the role of technology, and in a government that doesn't believe that social media is now the new parliament. It doesn't matter whether you elected them or not. Anyone with an account is a member of parliament right now. That's why it starts on Twitter, it starts on Facebook, and ends up on the table of the parliament. So the question is now, who guides the parliament on what they should discuss and what they shouldn't? And how do we know? How do we verify that this is true and this is not? And in that is where I practically have to say that it is so bad to see that Parliament or the Speaker spends in that manner. But also, on the other hand, I would like to inform Ugandans that we have failed our country as Ugandans. Why? Because we wait for such scandals for us to know what a policy is, what law says, and we have not educated ourselves, about all this. If you asked any Ugandan and you asked, like he was saying, CSR, it is supposed to be for only companies. I'm like, even you can do CSR, your company or your position. But if we have failed to educate ourselves, and this is not just about politics, Oscar, this is also about our sector, where you come up and you ask, why did that money go like that? The question is, do you know how it should go? Or you've just known about it, and because of a Twitter account or Facebook account has told you this is not how it's supposed to be, you think that is the constitution. So as Ugandans, we need to go back, I think, ask our members of parliament. Mine, I have not seen her on the floor, but I think I will ask her to educate me.
Who is yours?
I can't say, but for my, I'm from Rwanda, so I want to.
Now you are upset. That's what.
So I want them to educate me to understand on which grounds. Because I saw people saying, "Oh, we are sorry, Honorable Kadaga." I'm like, is it Honorable Anita that changed everything, or it's because that we have not been availed even how Honorable Kadaga was spending? So do we know exactly at what point and which year the parliament said the speaker will have this budget? Is there even a budget before we even say, oh, you're not supposed to spend that? Because if we do not educate ourselves as Ugandans, we are going to get lost. And everyone, yes, you're bitter that the taxes are not being used for what they are supposed to, but do you even know? Because when it is budget reading time, we don't listen. All we have to know is sukari yalinye bamongezeza. That is the conversation I hear on the streets. It's not the conversation of people engaging and saying, no, do not pass that. No, do not pass that. Or no, we want this. And to the government, you're not educating us. All we see are billboards, and you say these are your taxes. But we need now the government to educate us, even us Ugandans, even me as Jacqueline Arinda, speaking for one. I have people in my circles, and when you're speaking to them, Oscar, you would be shocked that we don't know how this country is supposed to run. But we are very fast to say that's not how it is supposed to run. If you say, can you quote where you're basing this? They will not quote. So to the scandal that happened, I would like, Honorable Semuju, you people who are seated out there, is there a budget for the speaker? Is there a threshold? If it is there, from where we are standing right now, is that I think Ugandans, I wouldn't say I'm supporting the speaker, but I think we were misguided. Because to me, on every trip I make to the UK as one person or USA, believe me, I don't spend less than 5,000. So when you say as
and yet
speaker,
you are not a speaker.
I'm not a speaker. So when you say as a speaker that 4,000 is a lot, I think we are confused by dollars here.
The point they are making, Ivan made the point. He said, if you increase your per diem, that's for one day, from 900 to 4,000. So you should be asking about that one, whether it is true, whether Semuju sanctioned it. That's where the debate is.
Oscar, what I'm asking the debate is, which year or at what point did they say Parliament has to allocate the speaker? And if Ivan is saying the speaker allocated herself, could they, if they could avail us that information, I'm sure Agatha can get the other information to show us at the point where the speaker said, I'm increasing from 4,000 to 9,000. And also to track back and show us what does Parliament say about the speaker's budget. This is not an issue of us discussing with words. This is us quoting.
Information.
Yes, please.
Semuju has given you his time.
The speaker works through the Parliamentary Commission. It is the Parliamentary Commission that determines the enrollment of the speaker and the
speaker's budget.
So that decision was made by the Parliamentary.
Which year?
Parliamentary Commission. I'm not very specific in the year, but it is
possibly this year.
It is under during the.
Was it, and you're sure?
No, of course.
Then we should do
this, and the Honorable Semuju can confirm that the adjustment of the per diem of the speaker from $900 to $4,000 per day, and
is in this Chisanja.
$2,500 is in this Chisanja.
Now, Oscar,
and
before that, Oscar,
usually Chisanja is 2.5 years.
It should be noted, and I wanted to make this clear to Ugandans. You cannot delegate. If I delegate you, Oscar, to represent me, it means I've entrusted you to make decisions for me. So if you have your member of parliament, this discussion shouldn't be about us. Go back to your member of parliament and say, when this was being revised, when this was being done, what did you do? Because we all don't sit on that commission. We do not. So we have representatives. So we should hold those ones accountable.
Honorable Semuju, as I was preparing to have this discussion, Spire, who's part of a Uganda Parliament exhibition this time, alleges that even this very week under the Uganda Parliament exhibition, there are some MPs who received 50 million. So let me start with asking you that question. Do you have 50 million in the car now, Honorable Semuju?
No, I don't have it.
Okay. Are you on a list to receive?
Where can I get it from?
It is there. So for you did not get.
I didn't.
I will ask Abdul the same question.
Oscar, let me now reveal. I did author an article in Monitor this week, and I said one of my NRM friends, that person I met in that article was Ivan. Ivan sent me a WhatsApp message because the people of Mwende were up in arms against Pineti for not constructing a road between Mwende and Sembaule. And Ivan, in his WhatsApp message, asked me, what can we do to stop this woman to ever put her hand on any public contract?
You are now revealing private chats.
As a journalist, you're not supposed to reveal sources.
No, this is not damaging. And actually, this is not a... So it was a conversation that I thought actually the public can benefit from. So when Ivan asked me what can we do, my answer was very simple. Remove Museveni, make sure his son doesn't succeed him.
You sent that to Ivan?
Yes, I did.
So that was no work done.
Because you see, Oscar, no, it's not him who was saying so. I am the one who was advising him that for this to end, we need to go to the road. You see, people can pretend. The trouble with the public debate in Uganda is that they pick something small and the whole week and the whole month, that is the debate. In my article in Monitor, I said every year we pass a budget where Mr. Museveni has 150 billion, 140 for donation. Money he puts in envelope and works with the staff who are, Ivan, tell me, if it is Museveni who walks to the bank to withdraw that money, please tell me.
No, but
It will-
the money to him.
Does it make it right? That's the point. So if Museveni has 140 billion for donation, he also has another 83 billion classified expenditure at his residence where he stays with his wife because the children have gone away. 83. I don't know what is classified between Museveni and his wife at their residence. 83.
The president's residence.
You had your time. You had your time. No, he has his office, which also has other amount. If you want, I'll tell you.
President, it is another 40.
And I want the public to understand. You can lynch all of us. Me, I am ready. And I'm not saying what is happening at Parliament is right. But people must understand, and that's the point Alinda was making, understand how did these things come to be.
Or the point Xavier was making,
Yeah.
that it is rampant all over, not just Parliament.
You see, first, before I forget,
But that is what about it.
before I forget, the most difficult process to deal with at Parliament is budgeting. Many of the MPs don't read the details, but also some of the details are not readily provided. I try. That's why last year I had issues. When I said Museveni, we are going to spend money on Museveni's clothes, this amount every day, even MPs were shocked. It's not possible. Because to read the item by item, and you disaggregate 45 trillion shilling to know which money is going for onion and tomato, you really need to be a very serious reader. I try, I cannot classify myself as a serious reader. But back to the point, because Museveni has money for donation, 2013, Museveni's budget was 60 billion shilling. He came back for 132 billion in a supplementary. During the meetings, State House Controller told Parliament that for every public outreach that Mr. Museveni makes, when you see him on the road going to Uganda, he spends 2.4 billion per day. I did ask questions in my article because of the government hierarchy. If number one is spending 2.4 billion per day, why do you in a Ugandan setup want number three to spend? Because that's a structure that you have built. All the bad manners start with Museveni and end with him.
No.
I will tell you, listen, because you need this information. This money for corporate social responsibility started as 1 billion in Parliament under Kadaga. It grew to 8 under Kadaga. Because the exhibition has found an ongoing fights in the opposition, in the NRM. So the leakage is also deliberate. That's why, as Linda said, you will not go back to Kadaga. I don't see the deputy speaker there. So you guys who have your own fights now, you are directing the country to debate only the speaker and maybe my brother Mpuga, as if when you deal with both of them, the problem will go away. We will need to go back and restock. And that's why I told you, until you have removed Museveni and made sure that his son doesn't take over, because he has also learned bad manners. The other day he was when he went to Teso, he went with one of the vehicles in his convoy was full of money. That's why part of the content of his speech at a rally is that don't go away, there is food. Where does a military man get the money to serve a whole rally? Because he went with money full in a vehicle. So these bad manners of Mr. Museveni is what now we are reaping as a country. You can fault Anita Among, any other speaker, because you will not have a speaker of parliament going to the bank to withdraw money for corporate social responsibility. And I'll tell you, can I tell you, Ivan, in my constituency, the invitation to the speaker to go and preside over churches and mosques because they know she will donate money, I can tell you, people who say, why don't you invite for us the speaker to be the guest of honor? And if she ever publishes a list of where donations have gone to churches, to schools, to what?
You want to answer?
You will shut up. So the point for me, Oscar, I make is that structurally now, even if you have a budget, a parliamentary exhibition every week and every year, without changing the structure, you are in trouble. This cannot change. A head of state has a budget at his residence, 140 billion donation, 83 billion shilling classified expenditure. And I have been dealing with. So people who are under Museveni, I argued in Monitor, is that because they are also looking at the percentages. So if number one is taking this, I will take this. That's why with his 63 convoy vehicle. The speaker now has 10. The vice president has this number. My friend Nabanja has 8. The ministers now have 3. So we are where Nigeria was at one time. I saw a governor. His wife had 3 vehicles and the governor himself had 12. So that's where progressively we are going. And you will not stop it. I have told you, before Kadaga left Parliament, she had even ordered for a helicopter. Eventually they say, no, Kadaga is now starting to look like a president. Maybe she can use the one of police. So this bad manners is not limited to Anita Among. This is how NRM people operate. And you can only, the solution is...
Is it true she had ordered for
Yes, it was in the budget. Yes. I sit on the budget committee.
In the budget?
Yes. Museveni had to call for a meeting and say, no, the chopper, okay, we can give you the one of police, but don't procure. It was in the budget. If you want, I can bring you documents here. And I said in my article in Monetize that actually Intamongo is a bad student. Kadaga was learning very quickly how to do things the Museveni way. So you don't just stop at vehicles, you even buy yourself a helicopter. So I don't understand that everybody has to be angry, but the anger must be directed to where it should be, and that's where the solution should begin from. So the moment you accepted Museveni to live the way he lives with his children, Museveni's wife has a convoy of about 40 vehicles. The son has also, I mean, you will see Mohoz, a serving military officer. The other day he was in Mubende. He came with a chopper. He also came with a convoy. Clearly. So if you want to lynch, everybody must be lynched. That's where the solution will come from. But to isolate and deal with Parliament, yes, you can deal with Parliament. It is legitimate. And I think Parliament and the parliamentary leadership will need to reflect on the figures that have been published. Parliament also need to some sort of a retreat to go and deal with this. But this is just a symptom. And I agree with him who said now corruption is everywhere. So I think we are at the patient is terminally ill. Either you I don't know whether you will make the referral too. Because, I mean, this thing has, every year we deal with the budget. I have said so. That you guys, these amounts are here. Trouble with many MPs don't read. He was asking that did the MPs pass this? They did. Did they know? They didn't know. Why? They don't read. And that's not about to go away. Because the budget of Parliament is brought to the Committee on Legal. I sit there. It is taken to the Budget Committee. And eventually it ends up with the whole Parliament sitting and passing it. So no MP should express ignorance anywhere. They should just blame themselves for not reading. So these amounts are there. Corporate social responsibility. They did not start with Anita Among. They were there. Kadaga was doing the same thing. She visits a school, she donates 50. She visits another, she donates 150. So to stop it, deal with Museveni family, and change and have a new pair of human resource. The moment you maintain this one, even if you take there another person who's not a leader tomorrow.
Even you opposition leaders, if we were to look into how much you spend, if your leaders, the leaders.
That's why I said that maybe we should. That's why I said we should all be lynched.
Yes. It's not just
because if you go to the parties, even the parties receive money. I'm not sure that they account to the satisfaction.
Thank you.
But it's environment under which we work. So my demand is that we need to have, maybe you, Linda, should become the leader of opposition in the next Parliament, and all of us get out, and then we provide a solution. No. Because you can't stop at talking. No. Please offer yourselves.
She's Arinda.
Arinda, yes.
The first name is Jacqueline.
Yes, let her offer herself. You come and lead the opposition. Action Aid becomes the head of government business, and you improve the situation.
Yeah. Honorable Abdul Katonto, did you get 50 million this week?
I think that's a redundant question. First of all,
because the allegation is here on Twitter.
Why it's redundant. I don't know how many MPs, if that ever happened, would say I received it.
No.
So I would rather we ask useful questions. However, I didn't get it. Having said that, Oscar, let me first answer the this newspaper story of Monitor, the 2.6 billion every day. What the Monitor did was to get the entire budget of Parliament then divide it by 365 days. That includes even development budget and so on. So the headline itself is so sensational. It does not reflect exactly what went on. Because, for example, the judiciary, I think, is around 600 billion something. Parliament is around 940 something billion, and the judiciary is 600 billion something. So what they would do, they would get that 650 billion or whatever of the judiciary, divide it by 365, say this is what they spend every day. Can that give the exact picture? Absolutely not. So you need to interrogate it further to see how this money is being spent and on what. Having said that, Oscar, let me correct this situation Ivan was talking about. It is true the Constitution provides that Parliament shall determine its emoluments. That matter has been subject to a court interrogation and decision up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court has given guidelines. One, Parliament cannot introduce a bill to amend, vary their salary and emoluments except through the executive. So it's not that the Parliamentary Commission sits, takes a decision and goes to the floor and it passes. No. You need to look at the famous case of Message. It went up to the Supreme Court. So that is the current law. So there is nowhere where Parliament has been sitting in the Parliamentary Commission, then they come to the House and they increase their emoluments. It's not true, because increasing of emolument and varying emolument, salaries and so on is a function of the budget. And that budget can never be introduced by Parliament. It can only come through the executive. But you know, it was Jacqueline talking about the level of ignorance. But even those who are not ignorant know the truth. They actually send the whole country to a wide goose, discussion, like indeed, Ivan, you are. Because it is not true. Everything has come from the executive. The only thing I can tell you, because I've been in the corridors for some power, that Parliament has got a stronger hand when it's negotiating with the executive to have those variations. But at the end of the day, it is the executive, the Minister of Finance, whom who is the authority, who is the author of the budget, who varies emoluments and salaries. And that should be clear on the record. Having said that, we go to actually the issue now at hand, Oscar. It all rotates around one thing: accountability. And to me, I define accountability like this. One, it is either legal accountability or political accountability. What do I mean by legal accountability? If money has been appropriated by Parliament through the budget for a particular activity, has it been spent on that activity or not? So what we should be looking at, and the debate should be, was there money appropriated in the budget for social responsibility? Yes or no? Because you see, whoever has been leaking this information, and our brilliant people who discuss these things on social media, they should be able to tell the public, was this money appropriated and for that purpose? And if this money was not appropriated for that purpose and it was used for some other purpose, then that offends the law. And then we go and interrogate who did it. Was it a mischarge? Was it outright embezzlement? And that becomes a legal issue, actually bordering on criminality. But if not bordering, actually is criminality. However, if money was appropriated for that purpose, and it is unreasonable figures, then we must go to what we call now political accountability. That you can't appropriate this sort of money for social corporate responsibility. So, and the debate should be twofold. Unfortunately, people are mixing it up. Is this money in the budget? I can tell you it is. Is it correct? That is a debate which we should be having. And now that's when the parliamentary administration, Parliament of Uganda, and the government should do the political accountability, such that the public says, oh no, you are misusing our resources, our taxes. You cannot just say you are going to use 1-2 billion shillings, so 3 or whatever figure is, purely on social corporate responsibility. So that debate, we should have it on the table. So having said that, in 2005, I thought there was a lot of things which was happening in the government, and the public didn't know. However, when you look at the Constitution, Article 41, at that time they thought the public deserves to know what is going on in government. And if the government is not being so open, transparent, what do you do? So I brought a private member's bill, spent 6 months drafting it personally with some aid of a friend of mine at that time at one of these embassies who had an idea about transparency and so on. And I brought a private member's bill on access to information, working with the 2 journalists, 2 very, very good journalists, very intelligent journalists. That's Angela Zama and actually Charles Mangusha. And we brought a very, very good law. The government grabbed it, but eventually they enacted it word per word. They didn't even change even a comma. Sabab Turo, the Honorable, was then the Minister of Information. He just removed my name and put his. And I said, that's fine. I thought you have a PhD, that's what I told him. There is a case called plagiarism. But that is fine with me. So eventually we have that law in place. You tell me, civil society, how many people have utilized it to say, okay, now this is the budget. Let's interrogate this ministry, this parliament. What is this? Because if you don't, you can even go to court and you have access to this. Nobody has done that. We sometimes do what is humanly possible. What is not, we leave it to the entire country, because you can't leave this to only one individual Oscar. So this money, we should know, Oscar, and let everybody know that there is a budget for social responsibility in what? In Parliament. Like indeed for Plot 1 Uganda. I'll give you an example. When the president goes giving out that money, you're calling it donations. What is it called in law? Ivan, what is it called in law?
Donations.
You are the lawyer.
Donations. And so, no, I'm talking about English now. It's not law. What is it called? They are donations. The Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda, and those MPs should be sincere, has been, I don't know how many millions of fundraising. Where does she get that money? Millions. And there is, I've not conducted a fundraising myself because I don't believe in it. But all these new MPs, and it has been a fashion these days.
Yeah.
Everybody is conducting a fundraising. And all of them, speaker, guest of honor. And she will not go there and give 1-2 million. They go there 20, 30, for whatever function it is. Every religious institution, they were going to the speaker for what? For money donation. All of them. Whether the faith I believe in, the Muslims have been there, the Catholics have been there, the Protestants have been there. I'm not so sure whether even the Ivans who don't believe in any religions have not been there. All of them. and we go back, Oscar, to the culture where...
You are slandering me on public road.
It was tongue-in-cheek, of course. I don't know, Oscar, whether this is not a culture we somehow must stop. If we can't stop this as a culture, as a country.
When I was making a response to the budget, I was chief opposition whip. The NRM whip has a budget of 6 billion, including 800 million for the nation. And for me, chief opposition whip, they were giving me 0. So I also went and complained. Since this is the business we are doing, also give me money, I go and donate. But up to now, they haven't.
You are no longer the opposition whip.
No, but there is one who occupies the office. Go and ask him.
No, it is 0. So, and that is the same trap Mpuga fell into. Because he said, okay, I'm leader of opposition, I'm in parliament. But my colleague, who is the leader of government business, has got a retirement benefit by law. Why can't you also provide something for this office? Then somebody, Malaysia, said, no, maybe half for you, maybe, because...
They said that for you, let us give you.
But stop that. So, I can tell you, Oscar, that we need to move as a country from the culture of getting political leaders to provide some of these services. Because these services are supposed to be provided by the state. But when you say it is the president who builds the churches, who does this, then MPs are the ones doing culverts, they are the ones doing this, you put pressure on them. And those who have got now positions where they can utilize state funds, then they will do it individually. And it is certainly not correct, but that is what it is.
Let's stop for a break.
The Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM. Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM.
Welcome back from the break. This is the Capital Gang, and even in the break, we're still talking about the monies. Abdul, had you concluded on your... I can afford you
I had
another
concluded,
minute.
but the point is one. And really, Ugandans should do.
And someone is saying those MPs are thinking two wrongs make it right.
No.
The two MPs are Katuntu and Semuju.
Yeah, for sure. Ivan is not yet MP.
And Arinda
I don't know that. He knows what it takes one. You see, nobody is saying that two wrongs make it right. But we are saying the entire culture is not correct. You get, that's what we are saying. And then we also want to disabuse people that maybe this money was being got from somewhere. Like, no, the money is there in the what?
Budgeted.
In the budget. It is there. I want to confirm, forgive me.
No, but reports are saying here that Chris Obore this week on a talk show did say that the official amount is 990 for the speakers per diem. So that opens the question to now why the 4,000?
No. I don't know about that. Because let me tell you,
see, as Jacqueline said here, social media, it is written that he himself said it
Oscar,
in his words.
Oscar, let me go away from some sort of street talk, and we go to how government functions. You see, during the budget process, all these things is discussed and tabulated. For example, that the speaker this year is expected to make 28 trips. And this trip costs this amount of money. And that money is budgeted for and appropriated accordingly. How is it budgeted for? It eventually budgeted for by finance. Because what the Parliamentary Commission does, it makes the proposals, it sends to finance, and finance first of all gives them what they call the ceiling. So all those figures actually become Minister of Finance, and they become the Minister of Finance's budget. And that's how it works.
The Parliament has its budget.
Yes.
Every year the Minister of Finance will bring an appropriation bill to Parliament that has all the figures for everybody in government. And that law is introduced by government through the Minister of Finance. And then Parliament will approve. So the budget is the budget of... When you see them holding a briefcase going to Serena to read, it is their budget. So Parliament becomes just one other department. The only exception is that under the law, Parliament, by constitution, that's what I told the people the other day, that maybe... Let me use the example I used on another radio station. I have gone to villages, and I'm not... where people serve a buffet, and people fill their plates with. So the first group can eat the whole chicken made for the whole wedding. So people made the constitution made a mistake. I think Parliament is not at a level of eating a buffet because they will eat it alone. So that's the mistake you made in the constitution. So don't blame them. So the exception is that Parliament serves itself. That's what the constitution said. The intention was to make Parliament independent, but maybe they are like people in my village. They are not yet at that level.
And let me tell you, Oscar, no, you see, this is also time for the public to have the correct conversation. after we had enacted actually the administration of the Judiciary Act, and the Chief Justice Owinidor has been clear on this, the judiciary budget is also supposed to be done by the judiciary, and late. We cannot even change a comma, and he has even been public about it. Do you understand this? Why, at that time, the lawmakers thought that you give a little bit of independence on both the judiciary and parliament, so that they are not muzzled by the executive. And I think it was then in good faith. It was then in what? In good faith. Now we need to see how we can re-examine it because of the development, and we see real checks and balances. But to me, that is not where even the challenge should be. The challenge is an informed citizenry, a very active citizen who should be checking on us as leaders. Say, guys, you are going wrong. That's where the challenge is, because this money we utilize is not our money.
But
it is for the citizens.
This is where they are coming out and they are saying that you're wrong. Only that what I was trying to understand from your point is that you also accept that the culture that we have here is where we discuss things, and whether you know about them or you don't. But at this point where we are heading, the question is, where do we go from here? The budget is there. You have seen the figures. So should we assume that these figures are going to continue like this? Should we sit back, like Ivan was saying, and next year we increase? But I want Ugandans also to know, and Honorable Semju, you are the ones representing us, that if no, because when you're a member of parliament, you are, and you're out there, you're representing all of us. Actually, I come from Chira. I can talk about the potholes of Berindo, but not today. I see you talking about Seven's family, but if
Jackie,
that is later.
Wants the MP to do the potholes. So please get money and do the culvert.
The point is that as members of parliament who are informed about this, when I see you on social media coming to correct them, it's more like you're attacking the person. It's more like it's a political war, and that is where sometimes I withdraw and I say I'm not going in for this. You are supposed to write what is right. I see you discussing it here, but when you come on social media, it's war after Anita, it's war after who. It's war. Instead of sharing this information, use your accounts to inform us. Do not come and wait for Oscar to call you on radio for you to correct this. In fact, your social media accounts, what they do is to tell us that Honorable Semju has visited Chira people, Honorable Semju was in Parliament, but you do not inform us when these things are being happening.
Money things.
Yes, the money
Yes,
things.
okay, Ivan. I want to end with Tavia.
You see, for me, I have had the explanations of the members of parliament here.
Yeah.
But I want to again squarely place the blame on Parliament. Why? You see, this budgeting process, the executive originates the budget. In fact, the budgetary items are originated by MDS, sent to finance, and the finance presents the budget. Correct. Parliament has the power of appropriation, which means it has power to just say, no, these figures are wrong, these figures are right. With the support of the public.
Jacqueline and Honorable Semju, you need to listen to Ivan.
You know what the Parliament does? Part of the debate on this exhibition has also been the role of parliamentary reporters. I think it was the Honorable Kadaga who opened the war on parliamentary reporters. The parliamentary reporters are supposed to be the public's eyes on parliament business, reporting everything that is happening. But every time they tried to critique or to question or report critically on parliament, they were locked out. The parliamentary leadership, I think, had backhand dealings with the media houses and the leadership of media houses to withdraw critical reporters. Essentially, what has happened is the muzzling of the press. Is the muzzling of the press, the parliamentary reporters of parliament. What has that done? That has had the impact of locking out the public from these budgetary discussions. The Honorable Semju says the president is the problem. Yes, but you know how the parliament and the president or the executive have a symbiotic relationship. It is scratch your backs, I scratch yours. the executive may be the originator of the budget.
Whether he says the president is to blame, today we are on Parliament.
Yes.
We'll have another one on the president.
Parliament has a constitutional mandate which is very powerful. It has the appropriatory function. If Parliament put its foot down and said, these figures of the president's donations or the State House, budget are outrageous and we shall not approve this, then Parliament would not have this incentive, this whataboutism. The Honorable Semuju is saying because the president spends this much, then the speaker can also spend this much. Who starts this? Who wills the president to spend this amount of money? It is Parliament. Because and I know, of course, the president has so many.
Let him first finish his speech because he.
When we went to meet the president, because sometimes people don't know these things, our chairman Okosase. And we had been concerned by the handshake, the debate, you remember. So we went and met him for 3 hours. We asked him about donations. And he told us that, okay, what do you want me to do? Because I am the fountain of honor. He explained it like I am the head. If somebody came to me and I realize I need these donations and so on. So we agreed with the president that let there be a law that can govern or guide you on the utilization. Actually, it was a suggestion from the president himself that can't we now have a law that governs donations? Because something which never came out, and now there's a public debate. Let me say.
So, what information are you giving him?
That
related to what you were saying?
Just Oscar, you may be against this, but just realize. And Oscar, I was telling Semuju about when Ivan was saying that if he speaks in Parliament, they might cut him off. I said, if you speak something which the boss doesn't like, he might cut off. And Oscar, please don't cut me off. So,
you have trapped him.
So, we agreed the president on his suggestion that, okay, go and do the law. He asks his then PPS that can you contact the Attorney General to come up with a law that will govern donations. And if the then Attorney General was Mr. William Vyaruhanga, if he had gone ahead, maybe this debate would be different. Because if there is a law that governs the donations of the president, there certainly should be rules to govern donations down.
Okay, here, before you conclude, because Spire has sent a message here. It says, Honorable Semuju has given a long and reasonable response to at Semoyam Soke's direct question on whether 50 million has been paid out or given to him or not. However, he has stayed away from the question itself. Second, Semuju and Katundu seem to suggest that two wrongs make a right. Because the president is extravagant, it is okay for the speaker too. So if we haven't managed to stop or remove the president, then we shouldn't put the speaker to account. But the very budget of the president is passed by the same parliament whose back is now being scratched with 100 million. They locked the press out of discussions of parliament's budget, effectively cutting off the public that they purport to speak for. If the budgets they are referring to now are justifiable, why do they pass them in hiding? Why do they treat them as if they are classified? So, listening to the legislators justifying these excesses through references to comparable wrongs, a bad culture, and legality is quite disappointing. Should we then all adopt to that culture?
First of all, I also want to correct Spire. I sit on the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. Actually, I've sat on it longer than any other Ugandan. I'm the longest serving member of that committee. At no one time has that thing happened that members have discussed a budget and locked out the press. It is not true. However, and this goes back to what Ivan was saying, what interests the pressmen, if we are going to try Honorable Zaki to be full, the cameras will be full in the room. If you are going to discuss things which are boring, including the budget, they will not be there. And it takes me back to the sort of, the times of Johnny Kakande, the times of Ibrahim Semuju, when they were reporters at Parliament. And you can go America, Rugaba, and so on. So that is also another problem. There are many, many times when very serious issues are due to be debated either in the committees or in the House, and you not have the pressmen there.
Okay.
Let me just
They conclude, and then we go to Xavier to close out this subject, this topic.
Yes. So I have made the point, about the fact that the presidency is the problem. And I have shown clearly that Parliament has that power. No. The Parliament has the power. First of all, its constitutional power is to check. Is to check the other arm of government, which is the executive, and they have all tools within.
Is concluding. Let him finish.
You understand this. You need to understand. Go and read the Public Finance and Management Act. Parliament is only allowed to change 3% of the budget. So they bring to you with limitations.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah.
You can focus that 3% if you think the root cause of this problem, what we call an endemic problem now, it starts from the presidency, and it's what you can devote the 3%.
No, you cannot do that. When there's money in
adjusting that. But for me, my point is that you see the president. Okay, let's even discuss this evil that is there, this donation is problem and problem. At least the president gets his mandate directly from the public and has to go seeking direct is it suffrage from every Ugandan. The Speaker's office is protected from those pressures. The Speaker is elected by members of Parliament. She does not have to go across the country to get her mandate directed. So this pressure of donations is actually self-inflicted. It is supposed to entrench her power over the MPs. You see, we have already been told the Honourable Anita Among is now probably the most popular Speaker of Parliament. Why? Because she attends all these fundraisers. And why does she attend those fundraisers? Also serve to entrench her power and control over these MPs, and by extension she will demand a bigger budget for herself to become, to also square up to the president, or to try to say she's number 3. But the law already protects you. There is no political incentive for her to go for all these fundraisers and all, because she's elected by members of Parliament. She's not elected by the public, so for which she has to donate and all. Yes, she has the power. The NRM caucus seats, she has an overwhelming majority, second, and she's elected.
Let's go to Xavier.
Yeah,
Oscar, go to the microphone. Yes.
The question of...
But Semuju, started a catchword here. It says we are on our own. Yeah. Now it is moving all over. So now they are using it against Semuju, and people are saying on Twitter here that we are on our own. So I don't believe Semuju is there to rescue us.
So Oscar, Abdu Katuntu talked about checks and balances, and I want to start from there and make 3 points on this matter here. Number one, about checks and balances. There's a lot of expectation. And also, it is in law that the structure of our government, at least intended by our constitution, is that Parliament has an oversight role, plays checks and balances as the one of the 3 arms of government to the executive. But you see, reading Animal Farm, and then there's something that was said there. It said the creatures outside looked from pig to man, and from man to pig, and from pig to man again, but already it was impossible to say which is which. And now, and if you take that and say that Parliament is supposed to check the executive, and then you are looking at what we're calling allegations, but Honorable Semuju Nganda just confirmed here that budgets were passed and so on. That tells you that that authority, moral or otherwise, that Parliament had to check the executive, they have now outsourced it to syndicates that are really running the show. And I think that is very serious for a citizen who do not only elect, but they pay taxes to run these affairs of this state and expect services, public services in return. That is one thing that I wanted to put. Secondly, corruption, it starts by trivializing it. We're talking about serious public funds which have been used in ways that are raising serious questions from citizens. So we should not attempt to trivialize it. Usually that's how it starts. You trivialize the matter, you condone it, and then justify it. I think that pathway, we need to avoid it. Otherwise, I agree that the issues that we're talking about, they are not just legal issues. Our budget is a legal document. That is true. But the issues that we're talking about are also political. And in many cases, there's also a moral question relating to here. Should we be donating randomly, arbitrarily, these amounts of money when schools do not have structures? When kids are studying under trees, that's a moral question. So you can't be there and pass your budget for the speaker, for the president, for whichever minister. For I'm hearing that the opposition chief whip is also asking for donation money and so on. The question is morally, should we be giving you that money when kids are studying under trees? And I think that, so when we're looking at corruption, the issue is that there is a political question that we need to address. There is also a legal question, which also brings in the criminality out of it. There's a moral question. And faith people will say there is a spiritual problem. And solving the issue of corruption, we cannot just look it at one lens and say that, okay, it is in the law, we passed a budget, and voila, things okay. No, there is a political question. Citizens are asking the question that you are taking money, we delegated authority to run this state to you, and you have now usurped the authority of the one who delegated you. A delegate cannot delegate. So that's something that you need to answer to yourselves for. So the political question that we're talking about. And otherwise, the checks, what is clear here that the checks and balances that we've put in place are not working. In summary, corruption thrives on two things. The first is impunity. Impunity is people when they disregard established procedure, decorum, and so on, and act outside that. And we're seeing this glaringly in all spheres of political leadership in this country. And that needs to be addressed. The second thing I think Abdul Katuntu also spoke to is the issue of complacency on the side of citizens. This attitude of, okay, they are thieves, but they are our thieves. I think that needs to be dealt with. That we everyone is stealing, so let's also put our thieves in the theater to steal for us. That we need to steer clear of.
Say that again. They are thieves.
They are thieves, but they are our thieves.
So it's okay.
We elected these thieves. They should also go and steal. Because now you when you take action, political action, you'll find people on the streets and saying that, you know what, they are targeting our elected leader. They were developing our village. They built schools. They even gave money for building churches and so on and so forth. So I think that we need to call what it is. If it is wrong, it is wrong. Citizens need to wake up. That's why I'm very excited when I see an exhibition like this, and I don't take that for granted. Whether it is the formal process of fighting corruption, we have institutions in dozens in this country which have a legal mandate and a budget to fight corruption and promote accountability. Interestingly, one of the things that people need to know is that the Auditor General that brings out issues on accountability and impropriety is also part of Parliament. It will be interesting to see how the Office of the Auditor General, which is old Parliament, but there's exactly, and there's an incestuous relationship between Parliament and the Office of the Auditor General, and so the summary thing for me is that there is a structural problem, a problem in the structure of the government that we are having.
I like your description. So there's an incestuous
yes, there's an incestuous relationship between.
But listen, I thought we were concluding. The topic has refused to go. So Godwin Toko on Twitter says, at Semwe Amseka has allowed the speakers on gang to get away with confusing donations and corporate social responsibility. These two are miles apart. A government institution can't engage in CSR. In fact, the donations as part of a speaker's budget is different from CSR. Also, how does that money end on individual accounts? Then there's a parliamentary reporter here who says, no. What Honorable Katuntu is saying is not true. The Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee is mandated to scrutinize the budgets of Parliament, but these meetings are held behind closed doors. Journalists aren't allowed to cover the Legal Committee when the budget of Parliament is being discussed. Even MPs are at times not allowed to leave a committee room with ministerial policy statements or documents that contain information about parliamentary budget. After the meeting, staff from Parliament ask all MPs to hand over the documents. This has been the practice since I started covering Parliament in 2016, and all journalists currently accredited can attest to this. Remember, the law only accords this level of secrecy to only classified expenditure under national security, and Parliament doesn't fall under this category.
But Oscar, you see, the trouble, I'll tell you, Minister of Finance brings documents to Parliament relating to budget. But there are also lots of documents on their website. If I want to look at the distribution of money per items, I don't look at the documents they have brought. It's never there. Any MP who is waiting for that information in Parliament will not know. Even as I speak to you today, Oscar, I have just been going through a disaggregated list of all the items. They are in their thousands on the website of Minister of Finance. I think I don't want to blame journalists, but they also need to be serious.
No, you have to blame them.
Because this information is available. You remember in Parliament, Oscar, when I was commenting on Museveni's budget, MPs were asking me, where did you get this information? Can you imagine MPs with the documents supplied? They also didn't know. I have a feeling that maybe journalists sometimes also don't know. Because if you don't read and look for this information,
if you want to hide anything from an African,
put it in a book.
And
it is worse if you put it on a website.
So Joachim says, thank Abdu for highlighting the distinction between legal and political accountability. If everyone knew this, less time would be spent on inconsequential arguments and debates. But Joachim, you also need to listen to Xavier's description of these are our thieves.
Yes, I say that in addition to legal and political, let's add moral. Because legally you can pass a budget and give yourselves donations of 150 billion. 100%. But morally, when kids in Katakwi are sitting under trees, when girls can't access toilet towels, and you are allotting yourself, this sleaze in Parliament, I think, needs to be spoken about with the moral conviction. Otherwise, trivializing things, condoning it, and justifying it is not good for this country. And we must really speak to this. And I'm very proud of citizens now are waking up. Whether it's on Twitter or any other platform, it is important that our leaders are held to account. You know, there's a saying that you set the tone at the top. You don't allow yourself to be imbibed with a culture that condones corruption. You need to rise above that as a legislator, as a president, as a speaker, as chief justice, or whatever leadership position that you hold in this country. You are holding it in trust of the citizens. It is delegated responsibility. If I give you money to buy chicken and you come back when the drumstick is missing, and then there is a problem.
You don't finish the chicken.
I think that's where the situation
when the drumstick is missing.
The situation that we have now. But Oscar, I do not want us to be distracted by chicken or by the amounts of money thrown out. As I said, there is
let me give you an amount of money.
Issue.
This Toko, I'll read more about him. Here he's saying this is the absurd reality of Uganda's elective politics. In the 2021 financial, Abim district's budget was a paltry 19 billion shillings. So that was the district.
Before you go,
because I want to close this topic.
Yeah, you need to close it, but I don't want unfairness. Okay, you've just carried this newspaper.
And I asked a question from the newspaper.
Daily Monitor on the 7th of March. In here, you have all those details.
Yeah.
All, the entire Parliament and all, they are here. So anybody who tells you that these figures are classified and it is not correct, they are just only being idle, and please go and do your job because these figures are there.
They have been pointing out. In fact, the headline says that house spends 2.6 billion.
Yes, and how can you say that Parliament has hidden them?
No, what people are saying, you're contesting, you're not. This is what has been debating. In fact, what the originators of the exhibition were pointing out, they were not so much talking about criminality, they were talking about the moral issues that Xavier is demonstrating. What Toko here was showing you is that there are even two budget lines, that there is the CSR and donations. Here we're debating it as if it is one thing. So there is a line for CSR and there is another line for donation. So what is, in practice, what is the distinction between
What
the
is
two?
the difference?
The budget lines.
But the difference is the budget lines, that you have two independent budget lines, which is fraud.
Yeah, I'm saying no.
Come on.
So those two budget lines are a structure of Ministry of Finance.
Yes.
The Ministry of Finance structures budget lines, and they put money there. You cannot create your own structure, for God's sake.
But you are
They are structure of your government, that the one that you come here to speak for every Saturday.
Semuju, Honorable Semuju, you can fight to delete that budget line.
In fact, it originates from the Parliamentary Commission. They're the ones who send it to finance.
Oscar, in 2020-2021, the Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, who was our Shadow Minister for Finance, in his alternative budget, to which we all contributed, identified 7 trillion shilling that included all these items, including travel, inland and abroad, including special meals. And our proposal to government was that this money should be reallocated to social service provision. But it came back and it was passed. So maybe sometimes you ask you, and this debate we have had, even at the FDC, do you go to Parliament? No, you don't go. Because going there are things you will speak about. You have now forgotten that many of these things we said during the appropriation stage. So as long as money is there and you can't remove it, every year it will be a debate.
Thank you, Star Cafe, for powering this debate on gang. We're going to stop for a break, and after the break, we go to International Women's Day.
The Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM. Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM.
Welcome back from the break. This is the Capital Gang, and even in the break, there's still more discussion. And the discussion is on money. Abdul, as we have concluded on that topic, I'll ask Honorable Semuju off air whether he got the 50 million or not. Abdul Katuntu said he did not get the 50 million. So we have a very smart lady on gang in what do you say, mustard yellow.
Mustard yellow.
Yeah. So happy International Women's Day to you, and ladies, we have in the studio here Patricia, our producer. We also have Star Cafe people. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
So the theme for this year in Uganda is invest in her. How are we investing in you?
We'll give them money for coffee.
Absolutely not.
I beg your pardon, you were off microphone.
I said we gave them money.
And it was seconded by a man. So we can discuss this up to tomorrow.
Was it a donation or social cooperation?
What did you say? And it was taken by a
It
man.
was taken by a man, and I was sidelined. So we don't say you gave it to a woman. But I must congratulate all the women in the world, but also importantly to congratulate Capital FM and other organizations and companies that give women a platform to raise their voices. And thank you, Oscar, for also bringing me here. Another person would have said, how do you even discuss with Semuju? How do you discuss with these brilliant people? But you've given me a chance. You've given a woman a chance in her master deal.
When you were here on coffee issues,
Yes.
after the show, someone said, after the show, it was an NRM person sent me. They said the only man in the studio was that Jacqueline.
Thank you. So Elena says, a woman is like a tea bag. You never know how strong she is until she's in hot water. Now, Uganda and Rwanda, if you look at these two countries, there's something we have in common. I don't know why, actually, internationally, Uganda is not recognized when it comes to contributing to gender equality. They recognize more Rwanda than Uganda. But if you look at the vice president, if you look at the prime minister, if you look at the speaker, women, we have been given big positions. Before we our grandparents and great-grandparents and ancestors were asking for these seats at the table. And most importantly, they were also asking for a voice. You know, sometimes women were given positions, but you're not allowed to say anything. Just like you were saying, sometimes NRM gives you a position, it will tell you, sit down. You think you're going to act, but they're like, yeah, you just have your title, sit down with your title, we'll give you what to say. But importantly is that women have been given these positions, and they have also, some have been given a chance to actually take over these positions, not by just a show off, but they have been there. Now, when I'm talking about celebrating women, there are 3 issues that I would like to front. One are challenges that we are facing, the milestones, and the way forward. I'll start with, I've already told you, Uganda, we are doing well. We have these positions. Whether we are performing or not, that's a debate for another day. We have also seen corrupt men. So when they attack Honorable Speaker right now, I'm like, but we have seen also corrupt men. So if you're attacking, hold on. If you're saying that there is corruption, do not attach it to gender. You just say corruption is bad. You don't have to say this is a woman, she's the worst. I was seeing people bringing her closet, and I'm like, what has her closet got to do with what corruption? You just say corruption is corruption. So if women have been brought to this position, us as women, what have we done? And I must say, it's not that I want to contest for women MP position in Uganda. I was totally shocked when my woman MP donated plastic cups to my constituency. And I said, we have million problems in Uganda as women. In fact, at this level, I asked myself, do I know the role of MP? That's why, Oscar, I asked you that, do we know what these members of parliament or even policy and the law, do we know what it is? Or we just come out to debate when there is something that has been tickled and then...
So what are you saying? That she posted in ignorance? She donated in ignorance?
No.
She didn't
myself, know? I think at that point, I considered myself ignorant of what the role of woman MP is supposed to be. When I think my family got. Unfortunately, I am in Chira, Honorable Semujus, so in Ibanda, my grandparents have to represent. But I asked myself, yes, women, we've been given positions. Are we using them to support our fellow women? Are we really advocating for what women would be proud of? So in terms of having seats, I think as women, we must add voices and know where we have come from and where we are heading, not in a way of thinking that we've made it, because the journey to gender equality is still long. Number 2 is the struggle as a businesswoman, and which you know me from. I'm an entrepreneur. I can tell you that women will struggle. You saw Honorable Semju saying that I accessed the coffee man. I didn't. And that is the biggest challenge we have as women. That when you want to access finances, you don't. Honorable Semju, even right now, as I speak, by the time you write your will, you might leave it to your sons. But we are given out and sent out. You get married, you go to school. When I was young, my family has brought me very well. That's why I'm here, and thanks to them that I can speak, that I can say you're wrong here. But back then, even at home, they would tell you, no, woman. In fact, in Banyakwe, they say, Babu Kara, you have to keep quiet, even when it is unnecessary. So you're taught that after school you have to, that is if you have been educated, after school you have to get married. Now, when they get married, yes, they tell you that when you get married, you must get married to a doctor, a lawyer, someone who is financially stable. In other words, I have to achieve my dreams from a man. They do not tell you have to work hard to get a car. And that is why my fellow, panelist here was saying that the culture that we have in Uganda is that, in Africa actually, is that women, we are meant to think that we should be given everything we need. That is why, Honorable Semiji, if you're dating a woman and he asks for a base, give it to him, because you have taught these people to yes.
I thought you tell him not to, because she must survive on her own.
You have to.
She's liberated, so don't give her the base.
If you break the culture, if you have not broken the culture, allow the woman to go out there and work. Allow your woman to work. If you're a man and your wife is at home and then you start for them a business, but you at the same time you don't allow them to take decisions in their businesses, but this woman has to take children at school, has to do the laundry, thanks to technology that has come. Even some men do not appreciate technology. You hear a man saying, I don't want my luombo cooked on cooker. You have to cook it on chako, just to show you that he's a man. I am a woman equally working.
How would you know that
No, because
the
they will
woman has
tell
been cooked on cooker?
You're not going to warm food. They will know.
Yes,
They're
we
like,
know.
you're not going to warm
We will
food.
know.
You would know that it was
You will
cooked on
know.
cooker.
Yes,
on
they
gas.
want it
There's
fresh.
a flavor which comes in.
So you see, so this is a woman
So
also
that one have to be.
that goes to work. I come back the same time with you. I prepare for you a meal thanks to technology. I prepare the meal. It is ready. You go out in your business meetings. You come back at 10 and I say, you know what, the food is ready, I warm it, and you're like, no, you have to do the charcoal. I tell you that I have installed the heater for you, like I need you to carry the towel. So when I'm talking about these issues, they seem simple. But back then in our homes, what you're doing to your women, it is not allowing them to become entrepreneurs. That is why I'm telling you, as an entrepreneur, when I'm going out, and thanks to my husband to be who is coming in, he understands. He says, Jack, you're working today? And I'm like, yes, I'm working today, but I'll make sure that I'm home and I prepare you a meal. He will not make a big deal whether I have done charcoal or not. So access to finances. The banks, you're talking about law, you're talking about policies. A bank is asking for a plot of land. From where do I find a plot of land? Even the government itself says that, oh, no, we are covering you. We're going to give you access to these finances. And then they make a whole, the criteria and the requirements. You look at the requirements and you're like, but is government looking at women? It was also considering men. So if banks, actually, let me call them financial institutions. If you do not come out and say, hello, banks, women do not have plots of land. And you, Ivan, you don't say, me as Ivan, I am going to leave a plot of land to my daughter. And you tell the boys, because boys, when you people die, the boys take the property. They even come in the discussion. No, even if I'm married, but I will know I have a plot of land back home. And lastly, in terms of leadership, when women, I think, even I would love to say I'm not a feminist by the definition of social media and what feminism has been described. I would say that as women, we no. There is a definition of feminism that I don't subscribe to, where arrogance is promoted and so forth. Myself, for example, I will tell you, when you go to the research, it shows that there are kind of roles that are played by women, and there are those ones that are not. In industrial, when you go to let's say Marines, I mean Army, you go to Marines, you find that we have more men, and women will tell you, I can't do that job. They will tell you. If you go to mining, you find more men. So I will tell you, if you're a woman, you should also know your means. You're not going to go in a game of football and ask for rugby rules. If that job can be done by a man, let it be. If you can't go there, then do not ask for. You say, oh, I'm a woman, you have to handle me with care in this sector. No. There are sectors that we can participate in. There are sectors that we cannot. So back to my point. We, as women, contribute actually 80% of the labor in the agriculture sector. Worldwide. Even in industries, you find that industries that have packaging, blah, blah, blah roles, those are women. But at the top in management, women are not there. Women are not there. When they say a CEO, they will have to say, oh, let's consider Oscar. Okay? But they are not giving women that platform. They will say, oh, no, women can participate in secretary kind of jobs and blah, blah, blah. You go down there and maybe you write minutes and that's forth. But they do not give them the leadership.
But these days, those things are changing.
The percentage
even
matters.
In the corporate world.
No. The percentage matters. I can tell you that even when you look at Fortune 500 companies, look at the CEOs. How many women CEOs do we have?
It's improving.
No, it's improving. I'm saying, yes, I recognize that.
In the past, you did not have a CEO who's as young as you and going out and shouting on radio about coffee. So we are improving.
We are improving, but we can do better. Now, as I wind up on that, in terms of leadership, is that as women out there, I would like to encourage you also to step up. If you're given this role, be a voice. You cannot sit in a room and Oscar says, keep quiet, and you keep quiet.
Hey.
No. Ask yourself, was I very loud? Would he have said it to a man? If it is yes, keep quiet. If it is not, if Oscar said keep quiet because you're a woman, say, Oscar, no, I have a right to speak. Number two is that most of these roles, actually, women do not apply. That is what I wanted to inform you, Oscar. Research shows that women are slow when it comes to applying for managerial positions. They tend to think that I don't think I qualify. I don't think I can pass. And even when they pass, the negotiations, you'll find Honorable Semju here negotiating for that budget from opposition, saying, oh, I need this budget. But a woman will say, no, I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable. They will not negotiate. So I'm asking women out there that you must negotiate. You cannot settle down for less. Stand up and say, I need to negotiate. When you fail, stand up again. Men fail like 1,000 times and a man will tell you, I'm going to do it. Sometimes I look at my man and I'm like, really, will you do that? And then he says, no, I'm going in. But deep down, I'm like, if it was me, I would have given up. But to the woman out there, I need you to stand up for yourself. And I need you to also understand that we are at war. And when you are at war, you cannot tell your enemy how you're going to play the game. You cannot expect your enemy to be fair to you. So,
okay.
We are with the world, with the culture.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
Not men, actually. We are not competing.
Let's go to Ivan here, who is going to now tell you how Uganda has moved so fast in promoting women as government policy.
No, I think I don't think that will be my angle with the discussion. I think that everybody here across the table agrees that on the political rights front, Uganda has moved significantly comparatively, both on the African yes, generally. So so for me, I think that the focus, and to agree with Jackie, I think the focus now has to shift from political to social and economic rights of women. You know, the issues Jackie has been raising, for example, the conditionalities, for example, for accessing capital, are they accommodative of the unique aspects, you know, or do they reflect the social roles and other limitations of women, you know, and that also now goes back to the social cultural norms and practices that you were saying about inheritance. If women cannot inherit land and the banks ask land as collateral, how do you reconcile that? There are also aspects. For example, I'm a young father of 2 children now, and I have seen how over the last 3 years, for example, raising these children has significantly limited my wife's mobility and ability to cope with her work and to competitively work and deliver as she was doing before she gave birth, because of the home care duties and the kids. These are and yet they have maternity leave of only 3 months, which I think is insufficient for them to be able to significantly.
And that's even an improvement.
Yeah, exactly, and that is even an improvement. I think there are some countries now. I think in the Nordic countries you have 6 months or up to a year almost of maternity leave. So these are the policies I think that need to now be championed. Within Parliament or in the sector to be, because the responsibility of raising a baby from childbirth to 1 year and the complications in that and the emotional investment, the physical and emotional investment of women is not accommodated in our work policies, and economic policies. So for me, I think that is where the debate now needs to focus. From the Maputo Protocol on the rights of women and all, we need to politically appreciate the unique roles that women play in society, and therefore adjust our social and economic policies to be able to reflect their unique circumstances. And because power, the most important power is really economic power. Because otherwise, if women can't work, then they remain vulnerable to women. It perpetuates abuse. In families, because you're vulnerable. You cannot independently work or earn anything on your own. So you'll never be dependent on the man. So things like maternity leave, things like conditionalities to access credit to enable women to compete with men in terms of entrepreneurship and work. And the
thank you, Ivan.
Workspaces, for example, we don't have workspaces where they provide for, what do they call these rooms, where breastfeeding mothers, for example, can come with their babies or nannies to work, to be able to accommodate the unique responsibilities that Parliament has to Parliament. But this needs to be replicated across the work sector to be able
Let's
to
go to Abdul.
Aspects of women.
What a journey it has been. You need to study not only this country, but the entire world, the entire globe. It has been really a long journey. And you need to credit the mothers or the women leaders. But I want to concentrate locally. When I hear names like Florence Nachon, Ida Wanandeya, Joyce Impanga, Mary Obote, Namirembe Bitamazire, Dionovo Ruvega, and so on. Those are the mothers of the women's movement in this country. Because they actually showed that whatever men can do, women can do. They promoted, first of all, girl education. Because, there are people, Oscar, these days who think being a woman to show is just about shouting at each other. But there are those who said, what does it take to have a woman on the same table? So what they did, for example, the first, I wish Ocheno was here, he would have been speaking different in some British English. So, but the point is, take, for example, the first UPC regime and the establishment of the girls' schools. Because that is the basic. Give the woman some education so that she can be able to compete. That's when you find throughout, whether it is a Tororo Girls' School, Wanyang Girls' School, there's this one in Lida, what is it called? St. Catherine or something, which spread all over the country and getting girls the relevant education such that they can be able to compete. Without education, forget it. You can talk and shout and so on, but you need to empower girls by giving them education. Once they are empowered, now they can negotiate. Now, when they are empowered, they can be innovative, they can be entrepreneurs like Jacqueline here, but sometimes I also get scared of some feminist views as I end. Not her. Actually, her, she seems to be talking very well. There are those who think they are going to replace male chauvinism by female chauvinism, and that is dangerous. Create unnecessary competition.
Thank you. Honorable Semujo.
I think we've, not only Uganda, but the whole world has moved. Sometimes we exploit the women movement for politics. If you go to Rwanda, I think now in their parliament they have more women than men. Even in Uganda. So sometimes what is declared as a dividend of this struggle is actually not a dividend. She earlier spoke about her woman MP. She has not seen that woman MP speak in parliament. Okay, they have been brought, so do we even make them to speak if they come to parliament? Is that our responsibility? That when they reach parliament, we make them speak?
But the training would be good.
For me, I think that don't bother me. In my class of journalism at Makerere, the top 3 candidates at the end of our 3 years were women on merit. I think that will happen by themselves. My grandfather did not take any daughter to school, including my mother. She didn't go to school at all. They are being taught how to write their names by their brothers. He relatively had some money. So because he couldn't finish it, so he went all over the village picking boys and taking them to school. Today it is not possible. And I don't want anyone to credit himself for having made this happen. The women themselves have been fighting. I have told you in my class, the top 4 were women. And not that they were favored, but throughout our classes, they were the best.
Thank you.
So,
They are not going to school.
Where you're going is a landmine. In my faith, treatment of women is different. I'll tell you, even women themselves. Let me say something private.
But
I've gone with my wife, just final. I've gone with my wife for her labor all the time. There was a time in Ruaga when I was carrying her from theater. The women were, no, you put her down. So they didn't imagine a man, because I slept with them there taking care of her. But they were saying what I was doing. So they were sympathetic that a man is...
Thank you, Honorable Semuju. So, let me have
yes, exactly. That's the point.
Yes, just allow me to start from where Honorable Semuju has ended. Indeed, there's been some progress, significant progress made in terms of advancing... Some significant progress made in terms of advancing gender equality. But there are still lingering gaps. Oscar, I want to bring that to the attention of this gap.
We have all of a minute left.
Yes, we have lingering gaps. we must know that the biggest contributor to gender inequality is patriarchy. And by and large, Uganda's society remains patriarchal. When Jacqueline is talking about women not owning land, who is owning the land? They will tell you that it's communities. 85% of Uganda's land is actually under communal ownership. What that means is that a group of men own that land and pass it to their male children. And if that happens, and yet 67% of the agricultural production is coming from is women who are doing it. It means that we are shortchanging ourselves, and I think that just to say that politically progress has been made, but I want to see political parties actually changing the format of representation, and not just say that no, you can change that. Why? How about political parties made to front 50% of candidates as female?
Thank you. Let's have a final sentence from you, Xavier Ejoyi, on Ejoyi. Ejoyi. Yes, we are totally out of time.
Yeah.
Final word.
The final word for me is that whereas we've made progress with women's empowerment, and but we need to realize that there are still gaps, political gaps that exist, economic gaps that exist. We must not rest on our laurels and say that we have arrived. We haven't.
Thank you, Star Cafe, for powering the gang. Performance was good across the table. Thank you, the gangsters of the day. Thank you very much. Jacqueline Arinde, thank you. Ivan Rugambwa, Honorable Abdul Katuntu, Honorable Ibrahim Semuju, and our guest, Xavier Ejoyi, Country Director of Action Aid. S6 results were out this week. Congratulations to those who did well. And Honorable Semuju, Honorable Katuntu, I wish you well. The fasting season is about to start. When does it start?
On Sunday, we'll be out waiting for the moon. We'll either to start on Monday. If we don't...
Sunday is tomorrow.
Yeah. If we don't begin on Monday, automatically we'll begin on Tuesday.
On Tuesday. Yeah. We wish you all the best.
I also need to congratulate Jackie. You hinted upon it.
Yes, he used the other words. You say she was saying my husband. So, congratulations to her. I am Oscar Semwe Amsoke, and I shall see you next week.